In this animation, we will introduce you to the microscopy experimental technique and a basic light microscope.